Wanted to do a quick video. I'm going to bring this down in the space so you can see it a little bit better on my return tracks and how I like them set up. So I'm going to open them up real quick and you'll see I have 5. So just disregard up here. This is just the regular tracks. So here's the 5 that I choose to have, but this is a unique way to run your stuff. So I have I use Valhalla Drum Air. If you guys seen my, oh, that's life. Sorry about that. I clicked on the wrong track. If you've seen me, I love Valhalla Vintage Verb. And on my drums, I like a little reverb. So 10% of that is like what I use. And on iOS, I use EOS 2, which is made by actually Valhalla and sold by Audio Damage, if I'm not mistaken, if I can remember right. So the ambience in there is nice too for drum reverb. Just a little bit of it is all you need. This particular preset is called Drum Air, and I use it on every song I make, literally. So I keep it in there, and what I do is I'm gonna scoot this over so you don't get confused. I turn it all the way up, and then over here I just adjust. It's on A. I just adjust accordingly on each one of my drums once I have a drum in there, right? So that's that. My second one that I like a lot is called Wolf Compressor. And I use the OG303. That's the reason why I bought Wolf Compressor, is because I love the 303's compressor sound. It's good. You can adjust the 100%, how much. It has the lo-fi, all that good jazz in there. And just so you know, there's a 1200 Crunch version, other presets that are built in here. Of course, you can make your own presets too. You don't have to just use what's in here. I just keep it at that. And I put a little bit of that and a little bit of that Valhalla on my drums. This is another one I use. This is on iOS, called RX950. I believe Inphonic makes it. They also make the SP1200 like version too. I can't remember what theirs called. Let me pull it up over here. I'll tell you real quick. Where's Inphonic? Inphonic. It's the SP12 1200. You guys have seen that before. Here, I'm gonna drop one on this track here so you can see what it looks like. Boom. Looks like that. This is coming to iOS if it hasn't made it already. I think, yeah, well, right now I don't think it's there, but I think it's on the way. So it's really good. Let me see. Turn on. Oh, I do have it on record. Okay, I don't know why it's not turning on. But anyway, this guy right here, I just dropped it on this one and I don't hear it for whatever reason. However, so I'll use that and then I'll add in dial in however much I want. This video is about return tracks, just so we know. I always leave these set at 100 and then just adjust over here how much I want in, right? So that's the RX950, by the way, that is on iOS. I have mine set to a preset I like. It's on my template, and it's basically to make stuff sound more like a sample. So it gives it that kind of, like, it sounds filtered and sampled in. You see I have the filter on max. So, and then I put the input gain and adjust the audio band, and I keep it on mono. So sometimes I'll use that on the drums. It just depends on what I feel. If you use the Wolf compressor, you're gonna get that a little bit of warble in the drum sound. It sounds like a vinyl record type vibe. But if I don't want that, sometimes I'll just use the RX 950. And also I use them both to kind of warm the sound a little bit. That's just the word we use. All right. Cassette 2 is called Sketch Cassette. This is one of my favorite plugins if I want the cassette vibe. Can you guys see that? Yep. And there's a bunch of presets in here. You can see them right here, all these presets. I just use, under the classic tape, I've used the professional before. I primarily stick with the clean and subtle. And then you can adjust all these settings if you want less saturation or less hiss or how much age you want it to be. I think it's a dope plugin. And like somebody drew it, because they did. Whoever made this kind of used that. I think it's kind of dope. So I put that on the master. You see it right there on the master. And I let it just be. I don't even change the sound of it or anything. I just leave it there. And then you can dial that in if you don't want a lot. Just put a little bit on there, right? And then last but not least, the one thing this is kind of why I didn't keep my MPCs. Once they made it to where the plugins are like available on desktop, I'm kind of like, I'll probably just use the desktop. I'm not a super pad user. I prefer playing everything, my drums, all on the keys more than the pads. That's just my personal preference, but I'm also not a drummer, so that may be why I feel that way. I keep it on the vinyl effect, but of course there's other stuff in here, but I just use the lo-fi vinyl. And if I ever want to change it, you just jump in and change it for that track and add it. But it's kind of cool to keep your returns with all these on here single, like their own return. And then you could just dial in what you want. Like it's on E right now. So I can go to E and put in, if I just want it over the keys or whatever, I can do that. If I want it over something else, and then the only thing I put on the actual track is obviously, you'll see, like I put the plugins, and then I use Kalen Ellis KFFX 2.1, and then that one sometimes I use sample delay, saturation, little reverb, little delay if I just want that. If I don't feel like using Valhalla, I'll use, and I'll be honest, I use this for that sample delay. And I'll use the filters occasionally, but that's just on the regular channels. On the actual return effects, I keep these stationed on every track. So my template has this built into it. And I always suggest people build templates so you speed up the workflow. Because I think what's daunting to some people working on desktops and laptops is they don't want to go in and have to set all this stuff up. I respect that, right? I mean, that's, you want to get in, like if you get on an MPC, you just jump on and start making music kind of right away. You don't do a lot of adjustments. So make your presets that you use more often, and then you can always fine tune that later if you want to. But for me, just having these presets already stationed here, and you'll see I keep them like this because I don't go back and look at them too much unless I need to. And then here's the master. I keep my preset on the master that I like. I might adjust this limiter a little bit on here, but for the most part, I don't touch it. I record everything straight into the chat. And you see I even got my track set up. So like if I want to do Serato sampler, I have a Kalen effects on here if I want to use that. And I just put the stuff there. Go ahead and use Serato. I got my kick, my snare, my hats. That's typically what I use occasionally. If I need something else, I use the UVI. You guys have seen that for percussion a lot of times. But if I'm not using that, I might use Life to do percussion. So if you have all this set up, especially these return tracks, man, you can breeze through making songs. I can make 2-3 beats a day easy and finish them on here. And by the way, these plugins that I'm using here are not tied to Ableton. So if you have Fruity Loops, if you have Studio One, if you have Logic, you can use all these plugins in there. The only ones that are tied to it are, obviously the ones that are made for Ableton, like the Kalen Effects is made for Ableton. So it's using Ableton devices, but you don't really need it. The Kalen Effects one, if you want it, you want it. If you don't really need it. You can see a lot of this stuff is stuff that's built into regular DAWs anyway. Saturation, you can build your own sample delay, bit crusher, or this one's called bit reducer, stuff like that. And if you're using a lot of these effects over here on the return tracks, I don't use the bit crusher hardly at all in here. Every now and then I might decide to turn it back just a little bit to give it some sound. But for the most part, I just use what I have in here already, like cassette and vinyl, right? Another one that I don't speak of often anymore that I used to speak, actually there's two. I'm going to call these my runner-up plugins, but they're not by any means less, is XLR's, let's do it right here. See if we can drop one in. Retro Color RC20. RC20 is dope. Don't get it twisted. It's a really good one to use. And I have tons of presets. I even bought presets from people that made them. Producer Grind. And I got some more. I can't remember where I got them from. But these plugins are really good. But I'll be honest that I don't use RC20 as much as I would probably using the Air Flavor Pro. And the reason why is because I just like the way it sounds. And it's simple. And the RC20 is not bad by any means. But yeah, it's just I just prefer to use this one for some reason. I can't deny I like the look of this one a little bit better too, but that's not the most important thing. The other one is made by Excite Audio, and if you've ever seen these before, Lifeline's console. These are really good. Even grab the free one if you want it. You can see they have bus presets for masters, for synth. These are wonderful. They all work great. It's just whatever you want to use. They have two though. They have that one, the console one, and then they have the Expanse one, which is like their RC 20, right? It's their version of it, sort of. And you can see, like, if you pick, let's say you go with something for analog bass, then it changes, and you can adjust each one of these. So all these plugins are really good for effects, for making your sound somewhat unique in its own way. And I suggest that you dive into using the demos for these as much as you can so that you can see what you like before you buy them. Don't be like me and buy all of them because you just, oh, that's cool, I want that. Oh, that's cool, right? Unless you see them on sale, and then that's a different story. But find out which one works for your workflow and then grab that and build yourself in your templates. Make your return track set up so that you can just easily add what you want to, to stuff so that you speed up your workflow. Because if you speed your workflow up, you will want to make music on whatever device you use. Even if you're on iOS, build some templates for your master channels, or build some templates for your effects. If you're using AUM, if you're using beatmaker 3, if you're using whatever, just do that because it's going to make your workflow much quicker, and you're going to be more prone to just jump on there and make music because you don't feel like you have to set all this up. It would drive me crazy if I had to set it all up every time. All right, that's it for this one. I just wanted to talk about return tracks and how I use them. If things change, I always try to keep y'all posted on what changes and doesn't change. But yeah, that's my workflow for effects tracks. All right, or effects return tracks rather. All right, I'm out.